A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries. I take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed resource person for this session,
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
R.N. Supparao sir. Sir holds a doctorate degree from Sri Krishna Devaraya University, Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh. Sir is a well-known academician, researcher, and a popular teacher, and is currently serving as principal at St. Francis College, Kormangala. Sir has worked as Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, SSMRV College for 34 years. He has served as Vice Principal for 10 years at SSMRV College. Sir has authored many textbooks published by Kalyani Publishers. He has been a member of Board of Studies, Department of Commerce, Bangalore University and Jain University. He has worked as Chief Custodian, Board of Examiner and Examiner for Bangalore University examinations. Sir is a recognized research supervisor of Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, guiding 5 candidates for PhD program. Sir has presented papers at various state and national level conferences. Sir, it's our privilege and honor to have you as our resource person for this session, sir. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. I also welcome the esteemed faculties from various colleges to this session. Hope we have a good time discussing on the various topics on the costing methods. Happy learning. Now I request Subbarao sir to take over the session.
Okay, thank you, Vidya, madam,
Thank you, sir.
for the sweet words that have uttered on about myself. It shows your broad-mindedness. Thank you once again. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I take this opportunity to thank the newly formed Commerce Teachers Association, renamed it as Bangalore City University Commerce and Management Teachers Association, the PG Department of Commerce, Bangalore City University, all the faculty of SSMRV College who have taken this initiative in organizing in a befitted manner the orientation program on the 5th semester syllabus, and all my dear teacher friends. Before I share my views and thoughts about the subject contents, I want to make it very clear that I am not an expert in the field. Like you all, I am also a sincere teacher serving the students community purely with an intention to see that they are benefited out of our teaching. So since I don't claim any authority over this subject, I'm not a master in the subject, an expert in the field, maybe because of my experience, maybe because of my maybe because of their love and affection towards me and having imposed some faith on me, probably they would have invited me as a resource person for this, one of my favorite subjects, to be precise, methods of costing. Friends, hope you are all teaching this subject since many number of years and doing a human service to the students community and justice to yourself. If you look at the number of units that are there. There are 5 units. And earlier to this syllabus 1920, all of you know that this syllabus is introduced with a dual specialization from the academic year 1920 for the first time. But the first batch of this new syllabus would be going out of the colleges in the academic year 21-22. So this is the first batch of the students who would be facing their, or who would have taken their dual specialization. And there are some more new subjects that have been introduced, and new more exercises have been introduced, maybe in the form of skill development or could be in the form of community service. And there are other new initiatives that are introduced, keeping in mind the welfare and well-being of the students' community. We are all gathered here just to decide and discuss what extent the syllabus has to be completed and what should be the weightage that has to be given in the question paper for the forthcoming examination. Friends, all of you know that the examination for the 5th semester students, like all previous years, it is again for 70 marks, wherein we have 3 sections, namely A, B, C. And all of you know very well, this could be a repetition. Nevertheless, in A section, there has to be totally 7 questions, out of which the students are expected to answer any 5, and each question carry 2 marks. So section A is for 10 marks to be answered for 5 questions out of the 7. Section B is for 15 marks, wherein there would totally be 4 questions, out of which the students are free to answer any 3. So 3 out of 4, 5 marks each, totaling to 15 marks. And section 3, again, there would be 4 questions, out of which 3 need to be answered, which carry 15 marks. 15 into 3, 45. So 10 marks for section A, 15 marks for section B, 45 marks for section C. Put together, it comes to 70 marks. So we have assembled here, rather gathered here, and we are all here together to decide how many questions have to be asked in each of these sections. Will there be a question in section A alone, or will there not be any question in section C? To look at these modalities, we have all assembled here. I prepared a PPT so that it could be easy for me and also for you to understand and to look into. Let me share. Is it legible? Can you see the PPT?
No, sir.
1 second. Can you see the PPT?
No, sir.
No, sir.
1 second.
Sir, would you like to mail it to us so that we can do the presentation?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir. So will you mail it to Shiv Kumar sir, sir? Mail ID?
1 second, madam.
Yeah, it's come, sir. It's come.
Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Is it okay? One second, madam.
Yes, sir.
1 second. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem, sir.
Or I'll do that. I'll forward to Shiv Kumar or somebody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You please forward it to Shiv Kumar
1
sir.
second.
Yeah.
Shiv Kumar,
Yes, sir.
I have forwarded.
Thank
Now,
you,
could you
sir.
please
Sure, sir, sure. Yes, sir.
okay.
Very good.
Yeah, could you please go to the next slide? Yeah. Okay. I told you already, friends, there are 5 units. Among the 5, the very first unit is a job costing and batch costing. And later on, I'll let you know what extent this first unit has to be covered and what should be the weightage given in the question paper. Next. The next unit, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. The second unit or a chapter is contract costing. The next, third one is process costing. The fourth one is service costing. And the last one is ABC based costing, activity based costing. So these are the 5 units to be taught. Dear faculty members, we are what to say? We are in a difficulties position because since a week or so, we have been asked to take online classes. Probably 2 months we could conduct offline classes, but out of that 2 months, how many we could able to do? That's it's left to each of you and for each of the institution. But how long this lockdown will continue, and when will we go back to college to meet our students directly and taking classes in the college itself? So this is a very big question. So keeping in mind the present situation, number one, conducting of the classes online and difficulty that is involved in conducting the online classes, the extent we can do justice to the students through online classes is a debatable issue, and there is a big question. So keeping in mind the situation now, the pandemic, lockdown and etc., we also may have to think of the extent to which the questions have to be asked and what type of questions have to be asked. And that doesn't mean that the question paper has to be very, very simple. It should not be a very, very complicated one. So it has to be a balanced question paper. Hence, looking at the situation prevailing now, we need to decide what type of questions have to be included in the question paper. So fine. So these are the 5 minutes which we are supposed to complete in the available span of time. Let me go to the first unit. Shivkumar, please. Okay. No. Go to the next, after 5 units. Go to the 6th or 7th unit, slide. Yeah. This I told you already. The question paper pattern for 70 marks. Next. Yeah. So I have prepared slides. For some units, it could be 2 or 3 slides. For some units, it could be 1 slide, wherein I try to tell you what extent each of the units have to be taught and what should be the focus that has to be given while teaching each of these units. To begin with, about job costing. Job costing, where all of you know that there are 2 methods of costing: specific order costing and operation costing. These 2 we call it as methods of costing. Under these 2 methods of costing, they have been again subdivided into few methods. Namely, under specific order costing, we have job costing, batch costing, and contract costing. Coming to the other side, operation costing, we have single or output costing, single output or unit costing, process costing, service costing, and multiple operations costing. So these are the different methods of costing. Out of that, we have only few methods in our syllabus. Then coming to the job costing, I have dealt separately job costing and batch costing. So what is to be taught under job costing, I have made a list. And friends, all of you know that job costing is a method of costing adapted by those industries who carry on a specific job, a particular job. Maybe that of a printing press who do a specific order, carry on a specific order, or it could be engineering work, or it could be repairs and service, or it could be jewelry making, or it could be interior decoration, or could be getting a furniture done, or maybe an order that is given to the for catering purpose to the contractor, or it could be advertising agency. Like that, there are so many nature of work that has been carried on, which comes under job costing. So when it comes to job costing, we may have to start with what is job costing, the meaning of job costing, then features of job costing, then prerequisites for a job costing, and what is the job costing procedure that is involved. Fine. Then objectives of job costing, application of job costing, then maybe about the merits and limitations of job costing. So these are the theoretical portion or theory to be informed to the students, so as to make them clear about what is job costing. Then coming to the next, job order cost accounting system. Previous slide, please. Yeah, job order cost accounting system, which involves getting the production order, then collection of the cost, then finally to prepare a job cost sheet. So this is where we work out problems. The problems are done on the fourth step, job cost sheet, and a problem can be worked out on preparing a job cost sheet in the very first chapter, job costing. And variance analysis, that is a theoretical information that can be given to our students. So this entire unit, job costing, we need to work out, or we need to get it prepared, a job cost sheet with the elements of cost, namely material, labor, and other expenses. So this is all about the job costing, one of the contents of the first unit. Next slide, please. And batch costing. Batch costing, to begin with, to name some of the industries who adapt this method of costing, could be your tie manufacturing industries, or it could be footwear manufacturing industry, or could be a radio and TV manufacturing industries or companies, even your watch manufacturing industries are a companies, even biscuit manufacturing industry are a company. All of them, such type of companies and industry do follow batch costing. So coming to the batch costing, again, we may have to deal with giving a meaning of batch costing. There is a difference between job costing and batch costing. That has to be made very clear to the students. They should not be confused between job costing and batch costing. So differentiation between these two need to be explained and taught to the students. Then process of accumulation and calculation of job costing. And finally, to end with a problem on calculating what is called as economic batch size. There is a formula to calculate this economic batch size, which is root of 2C2A by C1. And I have given the explanation for each of these terminology that are used. And applying this formula, the students can be made aware about calculation of economic batch size. So this is the calculation part and problem that has to be worked out under batch costing. So this way, the first unit is all about job costing, preparing job cost sheet, and batch costing, it is to calculate what is called as economic batch size. So looking at the contents of the first unit, I thought it's only my opinion. I left to the audience to also contribute regarding this. When it comes to first unit, I thought there can be a one question in section A, one question in section A for 2 marks, and one question in section B for 5 marks. I don't think there can be a question that can be given in section C for 15 marks from the very first chapter, job costing and batch costing. I don't say that this is what is to be followed by the examiner. It is left to the examiner to decide. It is left to the examiner to decide whether you should give one question or two questions, because I cannot take away the freedom of the question paper setter. I can only guide and suggest him the question that can be asked in the question paper. Hence, I said there can be one question in section A and one question in section B for 2 marks and 5 marks. Do you all agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Ah,
Sir, suppose it's a first chapter and we have to option to prepare a job cost sheet. Why we are
yes.
not given to section C?
The job cost sheet, unlike cost sheet,
Ah.
the contents of the job cost is very, very small and limited.
Okay, because
In
it's a
cost sheet,
first chapter.
there were a lot of, especially under the which one cost accounting, where
Yeah.
the principles of cost accounting, where we prepare cost sheet. Usually, cost sheet and also estimate cost sheet both are asked for 15 marks.
Yes, sir.
But here there is no question of estimation or a quotation.
Why
like
I
that.
am asking? Why I am asking?
Ah.
This year,
Ah.
almost all government colleges not complete their syllabus because guest faculty strike and are there, and corona also coming out now. So that's why it's a problem. That's why we think of like this, sir.
The
It may.
Nagaraj, the contents of the cost sheet, job cost sheet is very, very small and limited.
Okay, sir.
That's what I felt. If majority suggest that there can be a question for 15 marks also,
Okay, sir.
let us recommend that also.
Thank you, sir.
That's why I told you I am not an authority who can dictate.
No. Because
I
we are
cannot-
discussing. Suppose among our participants, anybody examiner maybe. That's why, sir.
Yeah, true. Nagaraj, it's not government college alone. I'm very sorry to say. In most
sir.
of the colleges, this is the problem. We started opening our eyes, but all of a sudden again breakdown, lockdown, and all of us started. And you know me,
Yes, sir.
I know the effectiveness of online classes. So it is an
Okay,
experiment.
sir. Thank you,
to
sir.
everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Shivkumar, next slide,
Sir,
please.
I have a question, sir, with regard to job costing.
Yeah. Yeah, you please go ahead.
Sir, if the content is the only constraint, then estimated job cost sheet can be asked, sir, for 15 marks because there the calculation part is going to come. And previous year cost sheet we have to prepare, then calculation, then estimated. So I think it makes sense giving for 15 marks as the content also goes much.
I totally agree with Praveen. I do agree with you. Apart
Yes,
from
sir.
preparing job cost, even estimated cost and profit can also be calculated. It can be done like how it has been done in the previous subject by name cost accounting. But what I have observed in most of the question papers is the question was given only in section B for 5 marks. I am not
Okay.
taking away the freedom of the question paper.
Okay.
We as a faculty can also teach the estimated cost sheet since we have already taught. It is an extent of what has been already taught.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, can you go to the next slide, please? The second chapter is contract costing. Apart from telling the students about what is contract costing, meaning of contract costing, then features of contract costing, the several terminology that are used will have to be made very clear to the student, because these terminologies are very important even in solving the problem also. So students should understand what is work certified, what is uncertified, what is retention money, subcontract cost, and also work in progress. Because there can also be a question in section A on any of these, Hence, each of these terminologies will have to be made very clear to the students before we start working out problems on contract costing. Then it is after enabling the students to understand all this, it is to prepare or asking the students to prepare or preparing a contract account Now the question is, there are different types of problems that can be asked. There are different types of problems that can be asked in contract account. It may be just preparing one single contract account for one just given 1 year, or it may be, I'll tell you, before we also should enable the students regarding transfer of estimated profit, or what we call it as a notional profit, to the profit and loss account based on all these. You all know very well about all this. I don't have to explain. You are all masters in that, hence it doesn't require any explanation. But what I thought, let me make clear what is to be taught to the students by the faculty. And this is what we do regarding calculation of notional profit to the profit and loss account, depending upon the completion of the work. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, there are different types of problems that can have to be worked out. One is preparing a contract account for a given year. Maybe preparing a contract account for one just year, or it may be for few years, or preparing a contract account, different contracts account, different contracts for the same year. Whereas the fourth one is preparing contract account with an incomplete trial balance. Last one is when a complete trial balance is given, then how to prepare a contract account. It is not contract account alone. In case of in case of D and E, there are every chances if the examiner feels a question can also include preparing a balance sheet. The balance sheet can be only to show the items in the balance sheet, and that balance sheet could be an incomplete balance sheet which may not tally. The last one, when complete trial balance is given, the balance sheet should tally. So in case of the last one, apart from preparing contract account and contractee account, it is to prepare a balance sheet, and that balance sheet should tally. Now the question is, as looking at the situation available, looking at the time availability and the effectiveness of the online classes, what I feel, if all of you agree, then we will endorse and we'll ask the authorities to recommend the same. We will try to skip, maybe for the current academic year, only for the current semester. Let there not be any question on the last one. Preparing a contract account, when the trial balance is completely given, and asking the students to prepare a balance sheet also. So preparing a balance sheet and see that it tallies. And apart from preparing contract account, now with the situation available, pandemic, I don't think through online classes all this can be made clear. So keeping in that mind, any one among the remaining four can be recommended to be a question that can be included in section C. Hence, from this chapter, contract costing, there will definitely be a one question in section A. There can also be a one question in section B, and one question can be asked in section C for 15 marks. And that C section question, I told you, let us not focus on the last one. I mean, let us recommend the authorities not to include the last type of question, and others can be taken care. What do you say? Praveen, do you have anything to say?
Excuse me, sir.
Tell me.
I have some doubt, ma'am.
Sure.
Sir, contract completed in the same year, we can concentrate that for 6 marks right now, sir?
Yeah, or it can be
Contract completed in the same year.
with the limited information.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For 6 marks, it is okay, I think, sir. Sorry, for 5 marks, it is okay, I think, sir.
Yeah, it is okay. Or even giving information about details about the work certified, work uncertified, and the money received. They can also calculate even that also.
Yes,
Work
sir.
in
Yes, sir.
progress can also be calculated for 5 marks.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Or it may be giving the information about notional profit, work certified, work uncertified, and contract price. then what extent the profit can be transferred, what extent of notional profit can be transferred to profit and loss account. That can also be a question for 5 marks.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, could others contribute to the same? Nagaraj? Fine. So these are all about the second unit, contract costing. I once again, my recommendation, considering all of you, taking opinion from all of you, and recommend and suggest the authorities not to ask a question wherein the preparation of balance sheet along with contract account is included in section C. Praveen, do you have anything to ask?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Is it clear? Is it fine?
Fine, sir. Fine.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Then let us go to the next unit, the process costing, and wherein we are supposed to make very clear the meaning of process costing, features of process costing, difference between job costing and process costing, the terminology that are used in process costing. It's again important. Could be like the meaning of normal loss, abnormal gain, and calculation of all of them. This is very, very important. Without this, suppose if there is a problem involving any of this, then how they have to be calculated, that should be made very clear to the students. Apart from that, even calculation of stock, calculation of closing stock, even that has to be dealt and made very clear to the students. Then benefits and limitations of process costing, and calculation of output transfer to next process. So sometime our calculation of sale of a part of output. All of you know that sometimes the entire output of the process can be transferred to the next process and so on. Or sometime out of the output, some portion is sold and the remaining portion is transferred to the next process. If it is transferred to next process, the calculation is very simple. But when there is a sale and a transfer both, then when there is a sale, a part of the output is sold, then calculation of profit would arise. So that would be an additional calculation that have to be made. So these are the two types of questions that can be asked. One is portion of the output is sold and remaining portion is transferred to the next process, or otherwise entire output of the process is transferred to the next process. So these are the two different types of questions that can be asked. Okay. Profit on sale of output, that's what if there is a sale. Then next is important one is preparing a process account. Again, it involves 4 types of problem. Process costing with no process loss or no stock. There is no normal loss, there is no abnormal loss, there is no abnormal gain, and there is no closing stock. That's one type of problem. Our second one is process costing having process losses. It could be both normal loss as well as abnormal loss, when both of them are there. The third one is process costing having abnormal gain, right? That could also be the information that can be generated out of the information given. And process costing having stocks. Stock in the sense opening and closing stock. As far as possible, we will again strongly recommend the paper setter not to ask question on the fourth type of problem wherein there is opening stock, closing stock, keeping in mind the situation. Any question on any of the above 3 can be asked in section C. That is what I feel like. Hope if you have anything to contribute and say, your suggestion will definitely be taken into account. Shukar, could you please go to the previous slide? Yeah. So when it comes to process costing, I recommend 1 question can be asked in section A, or even 2 questions can also be asked, because there are a lot of information in the this particular unit. If paper setter wants to ask 2 questions in section A, he is free to ask. There is a lot which can be asked. So then definitely there can be 1 question in section B and 1 question in section C. That is a weightage that can be given from this chapter in the question paper. Is it clear? Do you have anything to say?
Sir, one small doubt is there, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, what about the byproducts and the joint products problem, sir?
Byproducts and joint products are also there, is also there. And that can also be asked in section B. Meaning of
Okay, sir.
byproduct and joint products, reverse method calculation, all those can be asked. And we'll suggest to include in section B.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Excuse me, sir.
Tell me, madam.
Sir, but in the syllabus, they have not mentioned about joint product and byproduct, no, sir?
Hello? Tell me,
Hello?
madam.
Hello. Sir, in the syllabus, they have not clearly mentioned, they have not mentioned about joint product and byproduct.
It's not very clearly given. 1 second. Madam.
It's, yeah, but it's not mentioned at all, sir. It's normal,
No.
normal, abnormal, and abnormal loss, abnormal gain they have given, but not mentioned anywhere about the joint product and byproduct.
Let me go through this syllabus once again, madam.
Yes, sir.
Give me 1 minute time.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can I share this syllabus? Sir?
You are right, madam. No, there is nothing about byproduct and joint products. It is only says
Yes, sir.
preparation of process account, and they have not
Yes, sir.
included joint. In earlier syllabuses, it used to be there.
Yes, sir.
Maybe they have eliminated
yes,
and
sir.
removed that. Hence, there is no need to calculate. Definitely,
Yeah,
joint
okay, sir.
product and products need not be taught and be there in the part of the
Yes, sir.
class.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Shall we move on to the next unit?
Sir, 1 minute, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kumar. Tell me.
Sir, in page 128, joint product is there, whether to be taught or not, byproduct and joint product.
In the recently uploaded syllabus,
Ah,
of the 5th semester, the process costing, therein they have not included joint product and byproduct.
syllabus first page they have given, they have not mentioned, only preparation of process accounts is there, that's all.
Yes, it is only preparing process accounts.
Ah,
And they have not, see, if you look at the syllabus of the previous years,
batches.
previous batches, there it was very clear about byproducts and joint products.
Okay, sir.
Here there is no mention about that, hence we don't have to bother about that.
We can skip teaching the topic itself.
Definitely.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Then moving on to the 4th unit, service costing. Earlier there used to be transport costing, but now the syllabus includes even hospitals and education institutions also. Keeping in mind that we need to start with the meaning of service costing or operating costing, what we call it as nature of service costing, then classification of cost based on so many aspects, then later on the methods of computing cost in various service organization, but there are so many service organization which can adapt this method of costing, but the syllabus is restricted to only 3 type of services: transport organization, hospital, and education institution. When it comes to transportation, it could be passenger transportation or it could be goods transportation. Any of these 2 types of services can be there in a transport organization. Then hospitals and education institution, the cost of providing the service at hospital and education institution, we need to work out problems on each one of them. So significance of operating or running cost, making the students understand what is variable cost and what is semi-variable cost and what is fixed cost, and which are the expenses which comes under these three type of category, or otherwise you can divide the expenses given only under two headings: fixed cost and operating cost or variable cost. Then it is to prepare a service cost statement for the service sector. This is what the syllabus recommends and has, and accordingly we need to carry on. So looking at the contents of the syllabus, again, there can be a question in all the three sections: section A, section B, section C. In section B, as we all know, a question can be asked in calculating either total passenger kilometers or total miles or total ton miles. So any of these calculation can a question on that can be given section B. And section C, it is preparing operating cost sheet for any of these service organizations. So one question in section A and one question in section B and one question in section C can be asked in this unit, service costing or operating costing. Okay, then moving on to the last unit.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt you.
Ah.
Sir, as per the syllabus, what I have been given, you have said is correct, sir. But in the syllabus, we're going to see the this one textbook, sir. We're never going to find the hospital costing, hospital organization, education institution, much more problems. We are going to find more questions on the transport costing. So
No,
it is going to be the priority for the
batch was
section C.
No, earlier batches, that was the only unit that was included as a syllabus. It was only on transport costing the questions were asked, and that was only the contents of the syllabus. But now they have included hospital costing and education institutions also. But I have gone through, there are some books. Some books have come out wherein you find problems on hospital costing and education institutions also.
Sir, if you have the questions much more, you could have been shared them, sir. So that
Excuse me,
just now
sir.
MN Aurora book I have solved. So there is not much more questions in the hospital as well as in education. The transport we have more. That is the thing, sir.
Excuse me, sir. At least for this academic year, we can prefer only transport organization problems, and we can skip at least hospital and education institution for this academic year at least, sir.
So what do you?
Yes, sir.
I totally agree with you, Raghu Mohan Kumar. But since the syllabus
in page 165, hospital costing sums are there, theory is there. Education costing page 175, theory and sums are there. 7 authors book house.
Yeah, there are in some textbook the problems are there.
Yes, sir.
Recently published textbooks, you find problems even on that also.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, we cannot totally eliminate any portion of the syllabus.
Yes, sir.
Hence, we cannot ask the paper setter or somebody not to give any question at all. We may request for simplifying the question rather than asking to eliminate totally a question. We have no powers.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So let us go according to the syllabus. And if the paper setter wants to give a problem only on transport costing, it is well and good. But let us recommend the problems on all the three. Finally, it is left to the paper setter to decide what question he or she has to give. Okay. Then going to the next unit, activity-based costing. This is very, very new concept that is being introduced since few years. For faculty also, we need to get ready to understand more about ABC analysis and make things very clear to the students. So this last unit can include, can you go to previous slide, please? Yeah. So what is AB analysis and an inventory management tool? Meaning of ABC analysis. weakness of conventional costing system, the old costing system, demerits of that. If you can highlight, then the need to introduce ABC analysis would be understood by the students. Then why ABC analysis? And these are some of the benefits that can be derived out of ABC analysis. I have made a list of the advantages or benefits out of ABC analysis. Next. Then limitations of ABC analysis. These are the list of limitations of ABC analysis, which can be highlighted and made very clear to the students. Next. Then how to perform ABC analysis. There are steps, I have given 4 steps that are involved in making ABC analysis. Identify the objective behind it, then collect the data, sort by decreasing order of impact for which there is a formula, and lastly, sort out the items into by classes, analyze the classes. So these are the steps that are involved in analyzing under the inventory controls tool ABC analysis. So this is the contents of the last unit, ABC analysis. How to calculate ABC analysis? I have given the steps. Multiply with the given data. Students, if they undergo and calculate, make all these 4 steps, then they get the answer to the question asked. There are 5 steps involved. If all of the 5 can be followed, then they arrive at the answer given to the question. Fine. So this is the contents of the last unit, ABC analysis. Under ABC analysis, again, there can be a question in all the 3 sections, ABC, and that way even this unit can also be looked into. Okay, so probably this could be the last slide. Last slide. Fine. So with this, I'll put an end to my negotiation with you. And if there are any recommendations which is fit enough to be taken to the authorities, let us recommend that. And what is being taught will also be forwarded to the authorities, and so that what is being discussed in the orientation program is being considered by the paper setter, and the questions paper is according to the pattern what has been discussed in the orientation program today. So with this, I'll put an end to my negotiation and discussion with you all.
Sir, in ABC analysis, what type of questions they can be asked for the section B and the section C, sir?
So here in ABC analysis, following all the 5 steps, would carry for 15 marks, maybe a small information to go ahead with only 1 or 2 steps could be for the section B.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Shivkumar, anything else?
If anybody has any doubts, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll end up the session.
Good afternoon, sir.
Tell me, madam.
Sir, with respect to service costing, are there any possibilities of giving some recommendations, sir, as one of the participants was also telling?
No,
Can we restrict the questions for section B or section C for any of the topics?
No, recommendation can be given, But there is no compulsion that the recommendation given has to be accepted.
Okay.
Because we cannot restrict the power of the paper setter. If the paper setter wants to give a question on hospital industry or maybe an education institution, he is free to do that because it is there. It is there in the syllabus. It cannot be an out of the syllabus.
Yeah.
But we can strongly recommend it to the authorities to give to include a problem only on transport cost.
At least for section C, if
Yeah, yeah.
we can recommend it, sir.
Definitely.
Thank you,
Anyway,
sir.
Nagaraj is there with us.
Hmm.
So definitely he will consider all our requests and see that what is being recommended by all of us is being carried on.
Thank you, sir.
Fine, madam.
Any other questions from the participants? You can unmute yourselves and speak to sir.
Yes, I have a recommendation. I would recommend, focusing. I would recommend to the paper setter to focus first four chapters because most of the colleges have completed, job costing, contract, and process through offline. So students have a very good grip on these, chapters. Then service costing we switch to the online mode, and people are now, students are now picking with understanding through online. So somewhere even we are also facing some difficulty in imparting the knowledge in the service costing, that too related to the transport problems. And when it comes like hospital and education, yes, it takes a lot of time to complete the syllabi of measures of costing. That's it.
Yeah, you are right, Praveen. What you said is 100% true. We will definitely recommend all our feelings and all our suggestions to the authorities concerned. Hope they will look into that and consider our request.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other recommendations from the participants or from the dignitaries?
Ma'am,
Yes, sir. So please go ahead.
tentative date of the exam, as slated, it is first or second week of February. Same question only I am asking. Will it be going the other side towards March or what? Because of the situation. Making them understand online classes is little tedious.
Now, this would remain a question only.
Question. Thank you, sir. We'll wait and see. Wait and see.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
So can we wind up this session? Is that all from the participants? Yes, sir, please.
So we need to frame skill development questions. So is it the choice of the faculty, individual faculty, or it has to be same as everyone in the, just like income tax and auditing subjects?
Because the activities and the practicals, skill development is already there in the syllabus itself.
No, sir. For costing methods,
Sir, no,
it's
sir.
not available.
Yes, sir.
For
It's not
costing-
available in the syllabus, sir.
Only for auditing and income tax, it is available, sir. Other specialization papers, it's not available, sir.
Okay. Then the department has to look into that and make out a list, because if it is left to the faculty, each college will have their own set of questions.
Yes, sir. Actually, that they have mentioned the same thing, because for the specialization papers, college will be asked to run the internal test and they need to conduct the internal test.
Yeah.
Sir, I would like to add something to your question. Probably tomorrow we'll have a session by Dr. Bhaskar sir, who is a special invitee, and we are expecting him to speak on this PST subject and the other subjects of concern, the community
Okay.
service and internship related subjects. Probably we can put across this question there as well.
No, that would be better because
Yes,
arriving at our own judgment is not right.
Okay. Okay,
yes.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Any
one more
other question?
suggestion can I ask?
Pardon, Bob?
Sir, what the one of the participant has said about the PST. So
Ah,
my suggestion is, sir, can you could be the give the frame any 7 or 8 questions if you could have in frame among that 8 or 7 questions. So the who are the institutions they are going to frame the questions in the internal, so they can give any questions among that 2 or 3, so that it will be very difficult for us only to frame a questions. So if you're going to frame at least any 7 or 8 questions, among that we could have in give the questions for the internal 2 or 3 questions, but we're going to solve the problem, the PSD, what the questions is there, we're going to solve all the 8 question also. So in the internals examinations, we can give any 1 or 2 questions. So this is my suggestion, sir, if you could have been done like this.
okay, okay, Babu. We'll put forth this to the organization and let them come out
Sure,
with a solution to this.
sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else who wants to clarify their doubts or give their recommendations? Any other participants?
Maybe ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಇನ್ನೇನಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So before you wind up, before you propose vote of thanks, that is the last part of the program.
Yes, sir.
Let me take 1 or 2 minutes of your valuable time.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. It's our pleasure, sir.
Okay. So let me thank the organization, Commerce and Management Teachers Association, for selecting me as a resource person and giving an opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas with my teacher friends. And I also thank the organizers of today's orientation program, the faculty of Department of Commerce, SSMRV College, for giving them an opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and days to come.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Shivakumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to formally propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. It's my privilege to give vote of thanks. Firstly, I thank our renowned resource person, Dr. R.N. Subbarao sir, Principal, St. Francis College, giving insight information of costing method. He provided all the detailed information which is we required in the present situation. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Shivkumar.
I thank our principal, Dr. S. Anil Kumar sir, for his support, and I thank Nagaraj sir, Head Department of Commerce, who gave all the support to conduct the orientation, and I thank event coordinator, Sri sir, who is the backbone of this event. Thank you, sir, Sri sir. And I thank all the participants for the active participation in this orientation. Thank you, all of you, and thanks a lot. Thank you.